There is a place in India that most of the world will never see. Hemmed in by the Great Himalaya to the south and the Kashmiri Mountains to the north, patched between Pakistan, Tibet, and China, lies a high desert plateau that has existed largely unchanged for over 1,000 years. This is Ladakh, land of mountain passes and roof of the world. At 11,500 feet, the air is thinner and the peace even louder. And the light does something here that it does nowhere else on earth. Tibetan monks have prayed in these monasteries since the 9th century. Nomadic herders still follow the same migration routes their ancestors walked millennia ago. And the Indus River, the river that gave India its name, runs cold and silver through valleys that feel closer to the sky than to the ground. We will come here in late summer, just before the mountain passes close for the winter, just before the world forgets this place exists again. And what we find here is unlike anything we have ever witnessed. We cannot yet know, but we are ready to be changed by it.
I am sitting with Mandira Chaudhary, and I'm so lucky to finally have a conversation because Mandira is part of Femved as our head yogi, and we've actually never had a conversation. And it's so important because where I am in the West, yoga teachers have this 200-hour yoga intensive training that they do likely in India or elsewhere. And a lot of the philosophy, a lot of the elements, a lot of the practices, a lot of the health, the whole life science of yoga is really not spoken about.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome,
Mandira.
Natalie. I've been looking forward for this conversation for a while.
And the main reason that we're sitting together is because we are going to the Himalayas, which is so exciting. And we're going to the Indian part of the Himalayas.
We are going for the Ladakh Himalayas. It is the most breathtaking landscape you would witness, and the stillness that is all prevailing, calmness and stillness of the grand massive Himalayas, it's going to put you immediately in a spiritual trance because the vast Himalayas has that immediate spiritual and meditative effect. It's always been known, the Himalayas has always been known for its spirituality, and how in India and specifically in this region that the saints, old age and thousands of years ago, the saints used to go meditate in the Himalayas. So definitely it does have that of essence, being the largest and the biggest ranges and all. So a lot of energy we have there consecrated.
And is there any mythology of the Himalayas? How does it connect to yoga and your lineage, or what excites you most about it growing up in India and being Indian?
I was raised in a certain way that I was always told these stories more like just stories and not too much pressure towards following it like as a god or something very like above and beyond you. And I think that really helped me also because I could sense that they were people, real people who walked on this planet and who walked on this earth, and through their yogic journey, through their exploring or through their entire work of going through the yoga journey and understanding themselves, revealing the true selves, they took themselves, their spirit into a certain level. Just the stories of characters and how they had evolved themselves and taken themselves from that level to a higher place. So that made me feel that okay, it is a thing that anybody can do. So I can also work on myself into the path of yoga. I can use the yoga as a tool to make myself into that higher transcend to a higher state. So it feels more approachable. So yeah, Himalayas have a lot of backing. They say the mythological character, Shiva, it's a very prominent and very important character. They say that he resides in the Himalayas.
How do you mean? And I wonder if you could actually explain for our audience who might not know who Shiva is, or the story of Shiva.
God. I would talk about the Adi Yogi, which is said to be one form of Shiva actually, because that is more related to yoga. it is said that Shiva is just one of the initial being, or the first being, or emergent, or it was not even a being initially, it was just the sound, because sound was in the space, just the sound, the three notations, the universal sound, A, O, and M together. So it was just there, and then origination happened and the life took place, and then it was just like the sound, and then energy form was also added on, and then it took place as a human being, and later on that's another thing. And we don't know where it came from, because it's so many thousands of years ago. So the yogi is one of the forms of Shiva, with the human forms, and he walked on the planet, and he was the first yogi, we say that is the first yogi, and he developed, kind of meditated for thousands of years in the Himalayas, actually, we say. And he was a human, but he transcended himself, worked on himself through the meditations, to a lot of tantra also, a lot of practices that are involved well in the meditation process. So that is how the Shiva story is. It is relatable to yoga, at least, the Adi Yogi. The people say that he is the lord of destruction, destroyer of everything. When we have three mythological characters, one is the creator, and then there is the nurturer, who is going to lead on to the whole movement of the planet and the universe, and then there is destructor, that is the Shiva. They say that everything came out of Shiva, and then everything merges into the Shiva. Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting how you say it began with sound. Sound
Yes.
is the first current of the universe, and from
Yes.
sound, form is able to take shape by how it is traveled. And then within that, everything comes into itself, kind of like a black hole. I would love to speak to a physicist now and how they have seen
Yeah,
synergies
yeah,
between physics and yoga mythology. Could you tell us a little bit about your specific lineage and your yoga practices? And you have a master's in yoga too, which is very rare.
Over the last 13-14 years, learned from a lot of different lineages from both sides, covering the scholarly, philosophical, and the ancient text, understanding the wisdom of yoga from a more scholarly perspective. And specifically when I was doing my MSc, from the practical knowledge and the implementation, asana based practices, which is one of the gateways into knowing thyself. Asana is one of the gateways, definitely one of the 8 limbs, and it has helped a lot of people to self-reflect, to come to themselves, to come to the body, to understand their body also, and come to a kind of a state of stillness and emptiness. Has to be done continuous process, that it's not to be delayed. Oh, I have to eventually go to the highest yogic this thing. If you keep on doing that, you're not going to approach it, because it takes lifetimes to move towards it. The very direct approach that you have to do it now, that now is the time. You have to go to the ultimate self, you have to realize the ultimate self at this very moment. Don't waste that any time. So my practice and my teachings are a combination of all, I would say, because I teach a lot of asana based practice, because I like to practice movement, and I do preach that movement is a form of keeping yourself living efficiently, keeping yourself active, keeping yourself healthy is also very important part. I teach almost 4-5 classes a day, so in every session, I've been teaching for 10 years. In every session, I would make sure, of course, over the 10 years, my teaching style has also evolved, and it keeps on changing. I make sure that the essence of that knowing of the true self, that awareness which is inside, the silence, tapping into that emptiness, is always being touched onto. Because if you don't keep that kind of balance intact, then you're losing the entire essence of yoga. So even if you are teaching whatever movement, if you're teaching all the advanced asanas, you're teaching the handstands, the Adho Mukha Vikrasana and everything, that's okay, that's completely fine actually, but you should keep reminding your students, because it's our actually, not even, I would not say duty, but I cannot help not letting them know about it, because it will be it will break my heart to not let them see the full picture and just let them see this asanas aspect, okay, because there's so much more beyond it.
Yeah, and that kind of goes nicely into why we're going onto retreat, is because we get so caught up and we're so hyper connected to everything, and our nervous systems haven't been designed for that. So that's why we're going on this wellness travel experience, because and even in Ladakh, everybody, you will have phone connection, but not very much. So this is all about being in the elements, following Mandira's yoga practices in the mornings, but also letting environment inform your whole nervous system. And I'll be taking you through medical consultations before and then after and during. We'll be speaking a lot, but the main purpose is this, of remembering that you are the universe. And I think the Himalayas will allow you to feel that you are the universe through all of the environment and through visiting the monasteries.
Yeah. And your expertise also in that matter, when living in tune with the nature and in tune with the environment, and the nervous system regulation that you've been actually working on and helping a lot of women with.
Yeah, exactly. So we are going to be at high altitude, which, because this is a journey for 10 days, we are working with the elements. We're here to work with your bodies, because what happens sometimes when we go on retreat and we're in this fixed environment, it can be really helpful, but then what happens when we go away? And then also what happens if we're in this fixed environment, it is a little bit static. So we don't live in a world that is static anymore. We live in a world that is moving, and particularly we're going to be at severe high altitude. So what that does is your blood pressure increases, your blood vessels are constricted, you have reduced oxygen, there is a shift in your cortisol patterns, your cortisol rises, but then what happens, we call it is hormesis shock in your body. So with hormesis, or with these shocks in the body, our body has to adapt, right? If we're always in the same environment, our body doesn't adapt. And that's how we get these metabolic changes. We have increased insulin resistance, our hormones are awry. And so with that reduced oxygen is where our HRV pattern changes. So that's what happens, where our nervous system is able to find a calmer and recalibrate for a lot longer. So I'm really excited to work with that energy. And then for having a complete reset for at least 8 days, which is kind of impossible to do in your modern lifestyle. And even on a retreat, if we went to Europe or went somewhere where there's high pollution, right? We have reduced environmental toxins. The diet and the local cuisine of Ladakh is Ayurvedic in nature, Tibetan in nature, and works with the land. So the food that we're going to be eating has so much tender, so much nourishment, and so minerally rich. You know, I'm not sure what it's like in India, but everywhere in the West, the minerals in our food are no longer there. And the same with pesticides and everything that we get from all of our nutrients, but we are in the Himalayas. So I'm so excited just to have the water, the teas, have a different gaze. I think just in 10 days is like going to build your system and capacity for the next 12 months. So I'm really excited about that. We're going to be visiting the temples, meeting local artisans, and it's interesting because typically where it borders Pakistan. It has the Kashmir, so that's Islamic. You have Tibet. We're also on the border of China. So it's just this rich melting pot, and it's only available for tourism about 4 months of the year. So it's pretty spectacular. Can you maybe speak a concept of the environment shapes your individual yoga practice?
There is a omnipresent, all-invasive stillness of the majestic Himalayas. The stillness and the massiveness of the Himalayas, even with a lot of wind, gets me like immediately takes me into the stillness which is always there within us, which is in the background, always there within us. There is a emptiness or the silence always there, and all our thoughts and the rest of the experience are the layers above it, but there is one observer or just the awareness which is always there in the background. And that is what is yoga. We actually want to get in touch with the true awareness, just the knowing and the true self, and not getting involved in a lot of, not being taken away in the momentum of the mind which is taking you on board with the thoughts and everything. So it's very easy with such a massive Himalayas. It's like a mirror actually to the stillness which is inside. So it takes actually moments to realize that it will catch you, it will anchor you down.
It's a true metaphor for living yoga off the mat, right? We can do our practice, we can do our shapes, we can try to meditate and push on the mat, but the true yogic practice or the true evolution of your mind, body, spirit is when you're in relationship with the environment.
Yes. So I try to combine all of the learnings that over so many years of the wisdom from the ancient text of yoga that I've gained through the study of MSc, through reading books and all, and also the experiential knowledge of practicing myself for so many years. So I try to combine all of that, also the physical asanas, of course. It is actually easier to get anybody hooked onto the practice through the asana. It is just one of the gateways, and then I keep dropping them in between things to make them tap into that silence, because it is easier to tap into that when your senses are involved in the present moment, when you're doing the asana, when you're making them balance, when you're making them focus on the breathing, the ujjayi breathing and all, and the phones are not with them because it's kept aside. So they are actually cutting off the strings which are of their mind, and the thoughts are being attached into the outer world, and they're coming that 1 hour of session they are being on the mat. And I keep reminding myself also sometimes, over the years when you're teaching, you see so many teachers and so many people doing different things. Sometimes you get confused, maybe this is in especially social media, you also get your ups and downs. So I keep on asking myself, remember why you started. Remember why you started doing yoga or practicing yoga or teaching yoga. It was never for the fancy asanas. It was never for, it is a very good way to work out. I know a lot of people are comparing these days on the internet, going to the gym or going to the yoga or going to the Pilates. You cannot compare apples and oranges. I never promised to give the fit body or to provide you any kind of physical fitness. It was never meant for that. Stop putting all that burden on yoga. Okay, there are asanas which has, because when you are doing the asanas which are going to strength train you, because the positions are like that your body is working, that you will have certain kind of resistance and you're working against gravity, so your muscles will have certain kind of strengthening. It's not for fitness, it is the baseline that is going to help you align the rest of the knowledges. It's like water, it's essential, but it is not going to provide you with nutrition or anything. It is not going to make you stronger. It is not vitamins or minerals or anything, but it is essential. It's the baseline thing.
It's the baseline, because right now it's yoga and Pilates are getting compared. My body hasn't changed with yoga, so I'm doing Pilates. So you've seen that resurgence. It's the quick fix, right? But yoga brings you home to yourself. Yeah. So what can people expect? What are you going to be guiding them through? Because it is open to everybody. Some people that might not know anything about yoga.
We will be practicing asanas, we will be working on lymphatic drainage system, also working on restorative kind of yoga also we'll be practicing. We will be also guiding the breath work, how breathing actually energizes the body. It's like energy system, your body is like an energy system, and how yoga practice, the asana, breathing and the right combination of that, and also the thought can actually make you feel more energetic. It's like energy system, you feel that energy more illuminating and glowing with that, the practice. So we're going to work on that. We're going to work on the attaining that stillness and getting in touch with the stillness, even with basic day-to-day practices that you can take away home and you can practice very easily by yourselves. Also, it's not going to be just sitting down and closing the eyes and meditating, because that's, I wish it could be that easy, but it's not that easy, not for anyone. Just like the physical body needs a lot of training, the mind also needs a lot of training to get into that level of that you attain meditativeness like that if you just sit. So just like if you would want to train your physical body for a certain goal that you have to train the mind also, and we're going to use some really easily approachable and doable for everyone, even with zero knowledge or background of yoga practice or any kind of meditative practice. In that sense, it will be so much approachable for everyone to realize that mindfulness and the stillness.
I think, yeah, we've really curated an incredible wellness travel experience. And I think the things that people are striving for, the things that people are missing, the lack of boundaries, the lack of energy, the cravings, the non-satisfaction in yourself, naturopathy and yoga, I mean, it's, I want to say is the answer, but there is no answers, only you have the answers inside. But we are going to help you unlock. We're going to hold your hand. We're going to be inspired around us. You'll be inspired by the group you're with. We are going to be with you through every step of the way, and we're going to meet the local people that live their life in ultimate presence. So they're an example for us, and meeting the artisans, the creators, the artists. We're going to be following joy, which I think is the ultimate currency of our lives, right?
Yeah. As you rightly said, the answer lies with yourself, and that is what we're going to help you move towards naturopathy and with yoga and knowing that selves. Getting in touch with yourselves, realizing the innate healing energy that you have, the innate healing intelligence that we all have in ourselves. That is what we want to unfold, and what we want to give out as a tool for the participants, so that they can use it even when they go back. So it's like a tool that we will be providing them to efficient and a better life.
Yes, what a great place to start, in the Himalayas, 1100 feet above sea level. A place where the original illuminescence had begun, where we received the downloads of the universe that were just normal people. So just to be in this place of these ancients. And that's the beauty of travel. What I love about travel is just going to a place can evoke some locked memory in yourself as well. And we can do it in amongst a group of people with the same intention.
Yeah.
Great, thank you so much, Mandira. I can't wait to see you in Ladakh on the 27th of August. So everybody, please, you can find Mandira. I'll add her Instagram, so you can contact her on Instagram. She also has an incredible platform where she is offering her wisdom through online programs. Yeah. Also through Femved, you can access all of her courses and yoga meditation practices. So please reach out and contact us that way.
I'm really looking forward to host this with you.
Thank you.